Pictures up.
Last looks. Rolling.
And action.
Welcome to the Last Looks podcast, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, having you back. We're doing this a few times, and good to be back. So, in this bonus episode, we are getting into etiquette, which is exciting for me, I think, because it's something I feel kind of lacks a little. So, for those starting out, I think it's a good first kind of foot to get off. First, good starting ground to start on. So on set and in the trailer, bus, makeup room, wherever it is that you might be working out of, wherever you're processing talent or crowd or wherever that might be. So as I say, this is a big one because respect is not just an automatic given.
Yeah.
If you want to be respected at work, you need to conduct yourself in a manner that warrants that respect. And I think people sometimes kind of forget that, whether they're starting out or whether they've been doing it for 20 years. So you can't behave poorly and expect to be treated with automatic respect when you're at work. So for the listeners to understand why I've invited you to the podcast to discuss this topic and many more that we have discussed and will still discuss, you have written a book called Training to Trainee.
I have.
And if you want to kind of, I guess, explain what the book is and why you thought it was a good idea to write it, because I think it was a brilliant idea.
Thank you. I think many first-hand experiences of just being so anxious on set and not knowing, like stepping out of makeup school and not knowing, kind of what people are talking about, the lingo used, whose job role is who's on set, kind of how to read a call sheet, the paperwork and that side of things. So I think I said to you in previous episodes about how a designer kind of said to me one day, I just stepped up to the next job role, and a designer kind of said to me, I wish I could just download all your knowledge and give it to the trainee who was green, who was fresh on set. So I'm like, what a great idea. Let's do that. So yeah, I spent the last 4 years kind of putting different things together and different anecdotes and personal experiences and just different things, document examples and stuff that's important to be on set for your first day.
Yeah. I think it's awesome too that you started the book like reasonably fresh out of that position. Yeah. So it's not like 30 years you're thinking back on like, how was it when I was a trainee? This is, when you started writing it, it was reasonably fresh, kind of getting all that information out. So it means it's wonderfully current. It's fresh out of your mind.
Yeah.
And just in telling me that story, it makes me think that not only people at the beginnings of their career thinking, is this right for me? I'm starting a new job, my first trainee position, this book would be awesome. Or if you're in school and want that extra documentation to kind of back up what it's going to be like and help you. But also the designers and the heads of department and the people running crowd, like recommend it to those starting out because it's going to help you. Like, as your designer head of department said, it's just like, that's so much stuff and so much information that she may not, or they, may not have to, repeat themselves over and over again because you've given them the book, they've read it, they've got a pretty good idea of what to expect, I suppose, and how to conduct themselves. So we're going to get into that whole conducting yourself with etiquette today. So yeah, that's me in a long-winded way rambling about how amazing I think this book is.
I think as well, going back, to what you just said, like it's almost like we've grown up together, so like professionally. So we've been a trainee and a junior and now a makeup artist. So it's that journey and that wisdom, I guess, giving it to someone who's new so that they can, and it doesn't just help trainees. Yeah, I think it's beneficial to lots of people. So yeah, not that I'm biased or anything.
But it's just, and it's that like when understanding what's in the book and what we're talking about today of how important you think etiquette in the industry is. And for someone where I am and my position, I think it's hugely important. And as I said at the beginning with my respect rant, like it's massive. And I think people who have been in the industry for a while and maybe they haven't come up through that training process of making those steps and working under experienced heads of departments that can kind of guide you and teach you these things, you can kind of get into some bad habits. And I think even just a reminder or I don't know, kick up the pants to just, be like, hey, this is how you probably should be behaving on set. It is still a professional environment. So I've already ranted about how important I think etiquette is in the industry. So I'm going to let you do some of that now, Amy. So how important do you think etiquette in the industry is?
I think it's very important. A lot of the time, this stuff isn't touched on in schools or colleges, not because they don't want to, but there's so much to learn hair and makeup wise that you're not taught maybe set etiquette. It might take the back burner, but I think it's so important because it's they're like the unwritten rules of set and the makeup bus. And oftentimes on set or on the makeup bus, people are too busy with their calls or doing what they've got to do to teach you these kind of things. But I generally think it's make or break, because if you're new to the industry and you're coming in with kind of these ways about you or things that aren't maybe correct etiquette wise, people won't hire you, might not hire you again. So I really think it's important. It's like make or break to me. And then like what you were saying about people picking up bad habits, or it's like when you pass your driving test, you do it to the book and everything's right, and then you fall into bad habits. You might just use one hand on the steering wheel or whatever. So I think it's getting back into them good habits. And then if you're just coming into the industry, it's about having good habits, coming in with good habits, establishing them early on.
Yeah. I think for me, there's something, I don't know if it's coming from working in the salon and having a customer service vibe, and you're kind of taught to greet your customer, whoever walks in the door with a smile, and they come over to the chair and you introduce yourself and you go. There's that professionalism throughout all of it. And just because I'm now waking up at 3 a.m. and wearing track pants and tennis shoes to work and not dealing with, I guess, the general public per se, but it's still that vibe of professionalism. Just because you're on set, it doesn't mean it's not a professional workplace. So what do you consider to be good on set etiquette?
We touched on kind of this point in the first day on set minisode, but I think definitely reading the room firstly, and get good at being quiet by default, and then kind of adapting to your surroundings, because we said this before as well, some designers like lots of music and loud talking and stuff, and then others like complete silence, like no music, no nothing. So I think if you're quiet by default, you can kind of adjust accordingly, and it's again that being flexible thing. But that first and foremost. One thing in the makeup bus is if you've got an actor in the chair and then a trainee or someone who's new comes in and starts talking to them and they're turning around to look at them, they become a moving target. And I think a lot of people don't really think about that, but you're, as a makeup or hair artist, you're on a tight call as it is. It might be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but you've got usually a lot to get done in that time. So if you're doing it on a moving target, it's a lot more difficult. And I think people sometimes don't realize that, aren't self-aware to realize that. So I think that's quite good etiquette on the makeup bus, not to be talking to actors while they're in the chair, if they're not your actor, obviously. I think something else is keeping your, this might be because I'm very particular, but keeping your workstation and surrounding areas clean, because we're sharing usually on a makeup bus such a small space that I think that keeping your area tidy helps for the general wider bus as well, because an actor doesn't want to come in and see your breakfast sitting there and half drunk coffees, and it's just not nice. It's their space as well to get ready in the morning and get into character. So keeping a good cleanliness is next to godliness. Keeping a good area and keeping the bus clean. Often here, I think we'd said about this as well in previous minisodes, but a lot of time here, the newbies will be making teas and coffees. So I think even little things on the bus, like memorizing people's tea and coffee orders, or you know, different bits and bobs that, or their favourite snacks, so you can bring it to them on set. I think the little things make a big difference, which is what we said before. And then one other thing, which is this is my personal bugbear, when you're doing something intricate on the bus, so I'm in an actor's face, maybe doing a winged eyeliner or something, or putting on a bondo, and then people, I don't think, realise how much the truck can shake, or the trailer. So when they'll be bounding up and down it and slamming the cupboards and stuff, and you're in an actor's face, firstly, trying to do something delicate and intricate, and then the bus is doing that. It's like a moving target again. So I think be mindful, again, it goes back to being mindful, just being mindful of your surroundings and kind of treading carefully. We've all got jobs to do at the end of the day, so I'm not saying don't do your job, but I'm just saying kind of tread carefully and be mindful of other people, or even knock in the workstation while you're trying to do a lip line or something and someone's knocking the workstation, you're leaning against it, it's going to jog you. So be mindful.
And what about kind of on set etiquette?
I think phones. I know we're very much in that kind of a digital world these days, and sometimes with the WhatsApp groups and how we communicate, you do need to be on your phone for some of it. But I think if you're taking notes, which you should be, use a pen and paper rather than your phone, so it doesn't just look like you're on social media or texting. I think as well, if you're sat around the monitor, just be mindful, people might be concentrating, so if you're laughing loud, and I know from personal experience, I have the most obnoxious giggle, like it's super loud, so I've had to kind of try and quiet my laugh down, so I'm not like at the monitor, because if people are trying to concentrate, and then also just being on set in general, being quiet. A couple of things again that I think people don't think about is kind of hairspray. I don't know how it is for you guys, but if we're spraying, it's generally good practice to say spraying, so the camera lens, if it's behind you, is not coated in hairspray or people's equipment around you, being respectful and mindful of people's equipment. And filming here, sometimes in listed buildings or National Trust buildings, old buildings, you can't even spray hairspray inside. You have to go outside to do checks. I'm not sure if it's the same for you guys there, but
haven't come across it. That'll be that sounds annoying. That sounds very annoying. Okay. Ugh. So the hairspray will damage something somehow, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, if they've got the camera lens, it can just put a film on and they get really angry.
Oh no, I get the camera lens thing, but I mean just the building itself. There's stuff inside that.
Yeah.
Is that
usually,
right?
Yeah, it'll be like, if this is 1700s building, sometimes they've got original artwork and stuff like that, so they don't want you spraying. Yeah.
Fair enough.
They see that.
Fair enough.
Also about equipment, I think even if you're trying to be helpful, moving other people's equipment sometimes, if say you pick up a camera lens and it breaks and you're now responsible for a $2,000 or £2,000 camera lens that you've got to replace, just best to just stick to your kind of department and
yeah. I think that for those working in the States, that's very cut and dry. Everybody knows that they do not touch any other departments, anything, ever.
No, never.
But yeah, in other parts of the world, I think those lines can be a little bit blurry. So yeah, good to hear out loud, good to read in the book.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think as well, like you innocently think sometimes, oh, I'll just help do this or I'll just help do that, and you don't want to be responsible for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, within like over here, within hair and makeup department world, even costume, I will like offer. It'll be like, do you need a hand with that?
Yeah.
And then help. But if I won't just go and grab stuff randomly and move it out of the way.
No.
I mean, I've had the odd PA grab my things and move them because they'd had to, like super quickly get it out of shot or something because something random has happened, and I'm always appreciative of that. I'm like, oh, thank you. That's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for saving my ass. And so I guess moving into more personal etiquette, so what does that consist of?
So yeah, the book is kind of split into these three things. So it's kind of makeup, bus, trailer etiquette, on-set etiquette, and then personal etiquette. And I just want to stress, it's nobody's business to tell you how to dress or how to, be personally. But I think things like dressing appropriately for the weather. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times it would be snowing here and I would be in jeans, ankle length jeans with little ankle socks and trainers, and I'd be filming outside going, but I think dressing appropriately, like investing in like a good pair of boots. In the summer, like you can't wear open-toed shoes, so investing in like a nice pair of breathable trainers, that kind of stuff. Firstly, then another thing is nails. So I've seen trainees come in and they've got great big long nails, and I think, how are you going to pick up the little blocking pins, or how are you going to lift boxes or heavy equipment with nails like that? And then also on the flip side, the underside of nails can sometimes harbor like bacteria. So if you've got your hands in people's faces as well, it's not nice. And then kind of just things like I touch in the book on things like personal hygiene. So obviously sometimes a bit of sweat and odor can't be helped. We're natural. We're running around all the time. But it's just kind of keeping on top of your hygiene, and because you're around these people for 12 to kind of 15 hours plus a day. So if you're in people's faces, and it's just nice to keep good personal hygiene. And then kind of on the flip side, having loads of perfume sprayed, sometimes people are allergic to fragrance, so it's being mindful of these kind of things, and just being aware of your surroundings and being mindful of how you conduct yourself is important.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with the perfume thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am that terrible person. I'm quite sensitive to fragrance and smells, so I'll just be like, oh my god, what is happening? But yeah, the personal etiquette, it's a massive one. It really is. And as you were saying, like the loud laughing on set, and as much as I want my team to be enjoying their work environment and having a good day, I also just want them to kind of go under the radar. I want us to be viewed as professionals on set, and kind of go in, do what you've got to do, and get out, and not make a big song and dance and fuss about it, and not be super loud doing it either. So yeah, I totally agree with that one as well. It's just like, I just want to go unnoticed. You're just getting the job done and quietly doing it, professionally doing it.
Definitely. And I think some people as well, they kind of forget themselves, because it's not a normal 9 to 5 job, or a regular job, and it is fun, and there are loads of fun elements, but also you have to remember it is a job and you're being paid to be here. So kind of being professional and watching the monitor, and remembering you're being paid to be here. Someone's paying you to do a job, so just being professional. And then also on the monitor front, if your actor isn't on the screen and you've got your head in the middle of the monitor, and just be mindful of other people. They might want to see their actor up close rather than the back of your head.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this is probably areas of the book that people of all stages of their career could benefit from. Definitely. Even if it's just a wee reminder of, hey, remember, that's professional. That's not professional.
And it is hard sometimes. I do think, like, obviously you do want to sometimes to have a laugh at work, and you do kind of get drawn into stuff. But yeah, I think it's kind of remembering, okay, we've had our laugh, now it's time to get on and be professional and go under the radar.
It's 4:00 in the morning and you've been at work for 18 hours and you're a bit, giggly and silly because you're losing your freaking mind. But then, you have your moment and then you got to tighten it back up again.
Delirious, and then you have to rein it back in.
Exactly. It's, we've all been there. Or if you haven't been there yet, guys, you will. It'll happen.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yeah. If you're lucky, it's coming. Well, brilliant, Amy. Thank you for joining me once again. And our Last Looks listeners, if you want to get a copy of this book, you should, I think. If you're a designer, head of department, running crowd, starting in college, thinking about doing this, I think it's helpful across the board. So where can people get their copy of Training to Trainee?
So you can get it on www.trainingtotrainee.co.uk/last looks. And that will give you 5% off as well, just for listening to Jaime Leigh's great podcast.
Woohoo! We love discounts. And on Instagram, where can they follow you?
Yes, so Training to Trainee, and on there, thanks for mentioning, I'm trying to create like a positive hub, a supportive hub for trainees with lots of information, jobs, kind of everything, bits and bobs of the book, not everything, but yeah, bits and bobs out of the book that's helpful.
That's awesome. I love it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.